Hey, good morning.
Hey, how are you? I'm trying to see
I'm
if we're
looking events. I think I've been to all but boys nationals. So girls nationals, you kind of hook up with a team, your team of players, and maybe there's a travel partner. AVCA is a little different in that almost all the coaches kind of come.
stopped. So it's restarting. So that's the good news. But it keeps.
Everybody,
I'll let you handle the rest of it while I do
there's a
some of the
crowd.
technical stuff.
Sure. So I'm not going to speak too much, other than just to say this bunch. I think the common thing amongst us is so we're pretty wide ranging, wide ranging bunch, and I think did everyone get kicked out or just
No, everyone did.
Yes.
it's not you, it's me.
We all
Um, so where we left off was I think Ray and Nicole have known each other for the longest time. How did this all kind of get started, Nicole and Ray? Help us a little bit.
I feel like I've known Ray longer than 2013, but I don't know if that's like. I think I met you at the Richmond AVCA convention, actually, Ray, way back when our fellow friend introduced us. I swear to God, I think that's how long. But anyway, Ray was coaching at a local Division III college, and I was coaching at a local Division III college, and we played each other and befriended each other. I might have my team won. Um, but I think that's where it started, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't at the Richmond convention, but I do feel like I've known you longer than when I met you, but probably just crossing paths in gyms and things like that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then
Yeah.
met most everyone else through
Recruiting
volleyball
the
coaches
same
and
kids.
trainers.
Yeah, probably
Probably.
recruiting some of the same kids too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So
I think so. Ray, the first time you and I met was 2018 when you guys presented you and Emily and your bunch, and that's the year that Jen and Barb and I all met as well. Even though I reintroduced myself last year to Jen, like, "Hey, nice to meet you." Like, "Oh yeah, that's right." But,
Nice.
um, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
nice job. And then we
I,
scooped
I
up Ray.
remember
How did you
Barb.
come upon Whitney? He's our newest member.
Um, I mentioned having some kids who were looking for homes, and she messaged me on Facebook and said something like, always looking for good quality players." And I think that's the only time we talked. And then we
I think
connected
so.
at a convention and
Yeah.
hit it off.
No,
So
we had
yeah,
messaged through VCT. I don't know, was that 3 years ago, 2 years ago, something like that. And then this was my first in person convention. So walking around one of the opening night party happy hour things and saw Ray, and the rest is history. Now I'm a part of this group.
Now you're doomed.
Yeah, right.
yeah. So fun fact:
Yeah.
Whitney played college volleyball when I coached. So she was on one of the opposing teams. So we were in the same
Yeah,
conference. So we bonded over that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Well, that's cool.
And now I coach in
So
that
Nicole, do you
conference.
want to
So
tell us who won that match?
you don't have to, Nicole. That's
Oh,
fine.
I can though,
that's
very
where we're going with.
willingly.
Yeah.
We actually, and I told Whitney this, and we actually, so her freshman and sophomore year, they were very good. And her junior and senior year, there was Whitney and other people. And one year they were so bad, we practiced after we played them because it was so bad.
Oh no.
Sorry, Whit.
Yeah.
But you were the star.
No, it's okay. Thank you. I'll be the star on a terrible team. That's okay. I'll take that. I'll take that title. But yeah, we've gotten better since then. But those were I've blocked a lot of those 2 years out. But
Yeah,
it was good to
they
reconnect
have
with
been a really, really good
reconnect, and now we can
program since
commiserate, and it's all good. But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so Barb and Jen, you guys are club coaches mostly. I know, Barb, you coach high school as well, but you've got a pretty successful club. What makes you keep coming back to the convention as opposed to other types of coaching education?
Yeah, this is the best. I'd say this is the best coaching education that I've found. There's a lot of stuff online that you can learn from, but just, it's not just the classes at the AVCA, but it's also just the interaction with the other coaches and the ideas that I get from other people, the advice I get from other people is just as valuable as sitting in any of those classes.
Yeah.
Barb?
I would agree. Well, after I founded my club 2 years later, I thought, well, I'm going to go to this convention. It looks like a great place to learn stuff, to make sure I'm staying on top of it. So I signed up for CAP and signed up to go to Seattle and go to the convention. And it was so energizing and so inspiring. And there was so many different things I could learn that the next year I paid for 3 of my coaches to go with me. And I also, over the years, have done a couple of GMS clinics and art of coaching. And I feel like AVCA has all of those. It includes everything, but you also can pick and choose. So AVCA is just, it's like Halloween, trick-or-treating. You get some of everything, and you always come back with more ideas and more inspired. And I think our club gets better when we come back from AVCA, from the on-court demos in the classroom to interacting and having drinks with all you fine people, and then gossiping about our various parents and kids and trials and tribulations. I think we all become better as we all get to vent to each other and be better coaches back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
it
know
feels
for
to me
I'm,
like
I'm very appreciative. Oops.
No, you go.
I wanted to just say that I know that for me, having gone from college coaching to running my own club, like I love having Barb and Jen as resources now, because this is a whole new thing I'm taking on.
Yeah, I would agree that having this group
I think
that's now a very irreverent text has been very therapeutic for some of us to either. What really hooked me was a stupid joke. What do you call the girl who stands in the middle of a volleyball court?
Annette.
Annette. I think that was from.
Yeah, I think you guys have hit on the biggest thing is just that I walked around for this year. We had an extra day because the finals was on Sunday. Very well viewed on TV, by the way. So maybe that'll continue. But I walked around the whole time. I did not get a convention pass, but got just as much out of going around and talking with people, reconnecting with people. Yeah, I was. I did show up at a couple of places like Barb, which we we should talk about that a little bit, because that turned out to be really funny. But you're just running around and meeting everybody and talking to people. For me, trying to find some new hosts or guests for the podcast and reconnect with other people that have been on. I think there's this much value in that. And if somebody was not completely interested in paying the money to go to the whole convention, they could certainly just go outside some of the rooms and go
and selfie taker. But now that I know the
you've come back, you've been to this a whole bunch of times as a high school coach. What keeps you coming back?
Kept getting around day after day. I think it was Ray. Ray was pimping me out.
I think the final number was 41.
We all were. It wasn't just Ray. He was the one with the camera, but we all were. Ray had the camera, but we were going up
My
to
husband
everybody.
thought it was
getting
You gotta
pictures.
hilarious.
for
And I said,
non-volleyball people too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of
We got free
non-volleyball
cookies.
people. Like one lady came back from a wedding.
my husband,
Yeah, all kinds of them.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Bertucci and
What?
McKelly.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tom
Chris
McKinley,
Fitzgerald
Bob
we had
Bertucci,
So
they know
one
who I
night,
am.
one of
volleyball.
So the one night when we were so busy sitting in the happy hour that they actually asked us to leave the room, we ended up just moving into the lobby. And then about
Yeah. And you all better be there if we
Oh,
can't
yeah.
pull off this summer in San Diego thing.
I don't know. I like San Diego. That sounds
That'd
good
be a
to
lot of
me.
So for all of
What's
you
the
who are
weather gonna be like?
coaching, are you coaching girls and are you the big tournaments? Big delay.
I coach girls.
I'm coaching.
We're going to the Northeast qualifier.
Anyone going to Mid East qualifier?
I coach
in
girls,
St.
but
Louis?
we're not going to any of the big qualifiers.
Okay.
Yeah, I coach girls and don't
I
coach
am
Go
club.
ahead,
coaching.
Lauren.
Jen, how far away do you travel with your younger kids? Like, what's the farthest you guys will travel with your bunch? You have to work a regular job, right?
No,
Fortunately,
Yeah.
I'm actually
Make a living
supplementing our
is.
family income.
I have to.
Ray's
So
been
at the
uncharacteristically
risk
quiet
of
through this whole
everybody
Yeah, when I
throwing
worked at
out
a-
all of their favorites. Oh, go ahead. You go.
Nope.
I don't know. I think somebody else was. But I was going to say when I worked at a D1 level, even the assistant coaches still had to have another job. Like they were not making enough to satisfy a living. So it's crazy to think some of these coaches are able to make big time money in volleyball. I'm just so jealous. I wish that was my life.
Mm-hmm.
I coach men's college, and men's college pays a pittance compared to even what D3 women's college jobs pay. So it hasn't really been a supporting.
Who had who had really good sessions that they attended this year? I'm just curious if anybody had that type of experience this year with a session that made a lot of sense or really hit home in a way that was different.
I went to one session that
The JVA
I
Key.
think it was a small group session, but it was all about changing the way of thinking. So we talk a lot about growth mindset, but this went a little deeper into it in that you have to have, I can't remember off the top of my head, I wish I had it, but you have to have like 3 or 4 other things in place before somebody's willing to open to a growth mindset. And it was really fascinating, like the way the brain works and how fear is involved and trust and all the things we know as coaches, but it really like pinpointed the exact topics that you need to change the way somebody thinks. And there was a
Groups
Doing
that
the
I attended.
JVA club
So
track.
when you go to the AVCA, that was good too. In the AVCA, there are small groups that you can sign up for, and it's a limited attendance. And those were really good because you get a lot of just the dialogue in there to situation I'm dealing with, and get advice on that. It was a lot of Q&A kind of stuff, so I found that really helpful.
Those are great. They have the coach camps and the learning labs, and all of those are really fantastic, and they have really great people doing those. the actual ABC and how that's expanding and how they're attacking different things and how volleyball worldwide is connecting. And
I just bought a lot of stuff. Like Chris, so Barb
that.
said the
I think the
AVCA convention is for me. I think the AVCA convention
it back home. So being from California, I think I ended up spending way more than the value of any of the items I got on good lessons learned. And at Christmas, they were showing videos of what it's like to do that with your feet. And I said, "Oh, I've done that with the volleyball." And they said, "No, you haven't." So we had a video from last year's AVCA convention when my daughters came and joined me for the last day, doing that tech volley thing, sliding around the convention center floor, spilling all our goodies we've gotten from the vendors and playing tech volley, maybe after a glass of wine.
So there's a guy here that made like a portable version, and it's
better than spike ball.
We had a couple auction,
and I won the Love Volleyball one where she got a lot of swag. Time on a silent auction, but UPS was in the convention center this year, so it wasn't too terrible.
Jay and I found somebody. Who was it? Somebody had a bunch of verts.
I definitely use my pocket radar.
Yeah, boys.
For almost every practice we do. And we charge.
What gun do you use? Because the pocket radar has a minimum of 25 miles an hour. So do you have a different radar gun? Because I found that with my when I get a group of younger players,
mine's
I
a
need
pocket
some.
radar.
Huh.
how do we get people to make that hurdle to take the jump and go and attend? I know it's a big.
I could go at some point, and this year I kind of just made that push. So I think the more that coaches, you don't stay the whole time, just to be able to, and lobbies until midnight, like that stuff you can't do virtually. So, yeah, the more that, these kind of behind the scenes looks can happen, I think would help coaches to, bite the bullet and find ways to
convention. But one of the things I found is everybody is so approachable that, if you see a table of people sitting around, you just walk up and sit with them.
First convention, I think, was in Richmond, Virginia. This is over 20 years ago now. Going back year after year after year. The not only the on-court or the classroom sessions are so tweaked or changed, or you learn something. That's the big value of it as well. As I love getting some of the free stuff, but I even love all the technology that's out there and learning about that too.
Yeah, you talked about taking some time off and going every few years, and I talked about connecting and stuff like that. I struggle. I would love to see stuff like that. I'd love to see the CAP program be launched, or even more mentorship opportunities. I've tried to be involved in that and have yet to get connected to anybody through the mentorship stuff. So, I just think a lot of that relationship stuff is more important to me than the drills and watching players play and some of these labs.
Oh, and last year you got to play for the Team Canada coach, right, Laurie?
I played for a couple, actually, for a couple of them. But yeah, I did get to play for her last year.
So for me, for convention,
yeah, one thing that. Go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead. For me,
just I know a couple of. Go ahead, Ray. You first.
So for me, for convention, I have to pay my own way. The way that I do it is it's my Christmas present and birthday present, because my birthday's in February, so my family pays for it. But I still try and keep it really cheap. If you register really early, you can usually get pretty good the registration fee. You get discount match tickets, which anybody who looked for tickets this year, they were really expensive this year, and I don't see that changing. You can double up or triple up in rooms. I don't think I'm ever going to do an Airbnb again after this experience this year. There were hack chicken in Tampa that BJ talked about, and just doing little things like the marketplace. If you do the business exchange, I got $150 back just for doing like a speed dating thing with the merchants who were there, and you get free stuff and you hear about their products, and it takes a couple hours, but you can do it on a budget. Also, if you ever go to convention, please do the virtual add-on because you get everything with that and your convention, and the virtual itself is I think $300 now. So just finding ways to kind of maximize your bang for your buck for that. It is an easy
You
way
get
to
the virtual.
try to do that. If you need help with it, yeah, the virtual add-on is like $39 if you do the convention, and you get I think the pre-con seminar and a lot of the on-court stuff, and you actually get it earlier than you get it if you just did the regular convention, and they don't post it until mid-January.
Nice. Just one other thought there, and because it is an investment, to be able to go to these things. And for the clubs that I've worked at, we are paid as contractors and we get a 1099, which means you have to, kind of claim your own business. And if you're paid with the 1099, all of this can be written off your taxes. I am not a tax expert. Let me make that disclaimer, but at least on my taxes, you can write that off as an expense because it is education that you're going there for. So that's another way to kind of offset the cost if you are paid on a 1099.
I think the other thing that
you can do the same with
I try to equate it to is my spouse has to go to continuing education on a regular basis in order to continue to practice what he does. And that is such a built-in part of like our yearly plan, like which continuing education conferences he will be attending. And I have just used that as the same point. Well, just because he's X and it's required, I should be giving the best to my team as well and getting continuing education year after year after year as well. So that's kind of how I reconcile it financially and in my head.
Yeah, we're trying to get more people from New Mexico to get to the AVCA convention. I was just in a meeting earlier this morning trying to brainstorm how we can make that happen. Maybe we try to raise some additional funds during our all-star matches at the end of our high school season, to kind of help generate some funds to get somebody to go, one or two, maybe three coaches each year. Because I totally agree with everyone else. Word of mouth, once you get back to the masses, really sells the AVCA convention. But unless you actually physically get there, my first one was in San Diego, and once again, trying to get some continuing ed stuff. But I've never looked back and continue to look forward to not only the on-court sessions, but also the classroom sessions, and I had some small group sessions as well over the last couple of years because I've served on some committees for the AVCA. But I just think the exposure live and in person is the biggest selling point to getting more coaches to attend. I'm very lucky because my booster club has really supported my endeavors as a lifelong learner, as well as my administration at the high school that I work at. So it's not to say that I don't raise that money. I do raise that money, so I get to spend that money. But being able to bring it back to my assistant coaches and bring back those nuggets that I spoke of earlier, to share with all three volleyball programs that we have on the floor each and every day, I think is a great benefit as well. So, it's my goal to try to get a 10% increase, I guess, in the number of coaches that we have in our state to attend. Not only the sessions, but the matches as well. I mean, that's a huge selling point, and something that definitely can be marketed as a huge reason to get to convention.
Yeah, I think Toby, you're right. The matches can be the big draw. If you're a big volleyball fan, it's exciting to see those matches. It's a full arena. Next year in Louisville, it will be the largest potential indoor arena for women's volleyball. I think it's 22,000 at the KFC Yum Center. Which should be pretty interesting. And again, it's possible to go without having to go to the convention. So for a new coach, you could go to the matches, hang around, meet people like all of us have done. It's really a blast and a great way to meet some new people. Just real briefly on the education part, I think everybody most of my friends and people that I talk to and hang around with in volleyball, we all feel that way about the CAP program, especially those of us who were lucky enough to teach in it. I talked to half a dozen or more CAP instructors over the AVCA, and they all felt the same thing. It was as much a vacation for them, a great time to go and meet volleyball people around the country. And I think we all can attest to the fact that in-person education is far better. I think the small groups are good. A lot of times they just aren't all that structured, and it's an hour rather than CAP was, a day and a half, 2 days. So we continue to lobby USA Volleyball and other groups to see if they can get something like that going. Maybe, I don't know, maybe AVCA will do it. I don't know, because they're under new leadership as well, and maybe they'll recognize that as an advantage. Steve, we're beyond our time, so you want to take us out here? Thanks to everybody. I know it was a little glitchy at first, but we kind of got our feet amongst us after a little bit. Steve, take us out.
Yeah, don't send the link to anybody because it's going to be really chopped up. While in the background, while we were on, it was turning on and off and on. I believe the recording will be okay, so if it is, I'm going to post the recording separately for others to look at, and I'll be working on figuring out ways where we can make, because we did have people interested in participating, sort it out, and takes us. Maybe you can join us for our weekly sessions. The other thing for you to think about and give BJ some feedback on is when are good times for sessions. We do Sunday mornings because it fits our schedules, but I'm trying to think of good times for volleyball coaches to watch and participate. And so maybe we can figure something out along those lines. But otherwise, thanks for spending a little time on your hopefully time off, and good luck with your day jobs as well. I'm getting ready for boys. The high school coaching, Toby, you and I have a maybe often. So we'll see where it goes. All right, everybody. Well, I will take us out of here. When I click this, we still can talk before we go, but